everyone. Welcome back to our daily issue analysis, Dia. So thank you once again for all the encouraging messages, and we are getting messages regarding our handwritten notes and about the holistic coverage of the issues in the video. So please make use of it if you have not joined our Telegram channel. So do join it so that you can get the access of our handwritten notes. So let's start with the topic of the day, and let's analyze it in depth. So today we have kept this topic related to environment protection. So why environment protection is in news? So you must have come across this news article in the Indian Express or the Hindu that Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change has proposed amendments in the Environmental Protection Act, that is of 1986. So this is a proposal to amend the Environmental Protection Act. So what is the proposal? So here I have kept it in format of infographics. So the idea is this proposal is targeting about decriminalization of certain provisions. So what has happened earlier? There was a provision of imprisonment up to 5 years and fine up to 1 crore, and if continued violation is happening, then 5 up to 5,000 each day was there. But now government wants to remove this clause of imprisonment part, and they want to retain only the monetary fines. And in fact they are going to increase the fines, but chances are high that if there is no provision of imprisonment is there, then people will violate it often, and in future it is going to increase the pendency in the courts as well. So this is the provision, and in simple, there is no the provision of criminal this imprisonment is going to be removed, and only fine will be there. So don't you think that it is going to dilute the overall provisions of Environmental Protection Act and thus the efficacy of it? So that's why it is debatable, and we will analyze it in depth. Now we will analyze the background with respect to the environment protection. So how this environment protection overall came into picture. So if we start with our constitutional provisions, so we have Article 48A, which talks about that state shall endeavor to protect and improve environment and to safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. So the responsibility, Article 48, we know it is related to DPSP. So here the state has the responsibility to protect environment, and in that also forest and wildlife of the country. So this is a constitutional provision. Also we have Article 51A as a part of fundamental duty. Every citizen shall protect the environment. So it is also one of the constitutional provision. Not only that, we have also fundamental right under Article 21, which talks about right to life and right to clean environment. So be it our fundamental rights, or be it DPSP, or be it fundamental duties, we have constitutional provision for environment protection. Also, we have Article 253, which mentions that uh, we can frame certain laws, legislations related to environmental protection. So under Article 253, EPA was enacted. EPA means Environmental Protection Act 1986 was constituted, it was enacted. So Article 253 of the Constitution is talking about enactment of legislation giving effect to international agreement. So let's say we are signing any international agreement, and related to that, if we have to bring any legislation, so in order to make it effective, any laws, if it has to be made, it will be implemented or it will be made under as per the provisions of Article 253. So this is another constitutional provision. Also, how this environment protection overall came at international level and in international arena. So we had a Stockholm conference in 1972. So this United Nations conference on human environment, that is a Stockholm conference, was held in 1972, and this became the first world conference with environment as its major agenda. And this, since then we started talking about right to life, a healthy environment as a basic human right. And from here, the genesis of World Environment Day, or we talk about if we discuss about United Nations Environment Program, from here we started talking about. So Stockholm Conference led to the genesis of World Environment Day and UNEP. Okay, so this is with respect to international arena. Why we are talking it today? We are talking it today because 2022 is a historic milestone. This year is important because today means this year we have completed 50 years of the Stockholm Conference that was held in 1972, and Sweden was the host country. And this year on World Environment Day 2022, the slogan or the theme was only one Earth. We have only one Earth, so we should focus on sustainability and we should focus on protection and conservation. So that was the theme. So this is a brief background about what all provisions are there in our constitution, how this environment protection and conservation started, how we talking started talking around it from Stockholm Conference 1972, and why it is relevant this year. Okay, so let's understand it in detail. Now we will analyze the provisions of Environmental Protection Act 1986. Few provisions related to role of central government. So central government can take measures for protecting and improving the quality of environment, and also coordination with the state government for the respective aspects of protection and improvement. Not only that, central government according to this act is also empowered to execute nationwide program for prevention, control, and abatement of environmental pollution. Whenever it comes to environmental pollution, central government has also a role to set standards with respect to lay down the standards for quality of environment and its various aspects. They also are supposed to lay down the standards for emission or discharge of environmental pollutants from various sources. So whatever pollutants are getting emitted from different sources, what should be the standard for that? Not only that, even the third point, the operation related to operations of industries, there has to be a restriction with respect to areas in which industries should can be established or not, how the way they are operating, the process or the class of industries, operation or the processes, so how they should be carried out and what kind of safeguards should be there, standards related to that also, so central government is supposed to come up with. So these are the, in brief, what is the role of central government. Okay, so this is related to the Environmental Protection Act 1986. Now we will analyze the issues. Let's analyze the issues in Environmental Protection Act. So with respect to environment protection, the first data which comes to our mind for answer writing is the performance of India in Environmental Performance Index according to that, which is released by Yale and Columbia University. So we have data in front of us. So if you analyze the data in 2006, our ranking was 118, and very recently in 2018 and 2020, if you analyze the data, it was 177 in 2018, and we have improved in 2020, that is 168. So this year again it will be released. So let's see what is waiting for us. But still, it's very bad. It shows and it reflects the grave situation. In this context, whenever you are writing anything on environment, so set a context by showing the gravity of the problem and then you analyze the issues. So starting with the first issue is related to the false disclosure. So false disclosure is very important problem in the with respect to the environment protection. So there is false disclosure. There is no accurate data on the status of the environment or baseline figures, and we are excessively relying on the data which is provided by the project proponents. There is absence of credible or any independent environmental impact assessment. We are relying excessively on the project proponents for their appraisal or their report with respect to environmental impact of their projects. So this is a false setting, false expectation. So now if I am establishing, I am making any, I'm plant or anything, any factory, so what kind of assessment will be there in my report? Definitely it will be, reports will be favoring my factory, my setup. So it might happen that the disclosures or the data will be false. So and it has happened many times in the past. So we need to take care of that. So this is one issue. Second issue is related to public consultation. So there is a provision of public consultation in Environmental Protection Act, but it is an eyewash. Why? Because the hearings are biased. And not only that, very recently, the list of projects are there which has been included under a separate category, category B2. Means lot of activities have been removed from the purview of the requirement of EIA, that is Environmental Impact Assessment. So there are a lot of projects or the activities which have been put, for example, offshore and onshore, oil, gas, and shale exploration, hydroelectricity projects up to 25 megawatt, irrigation projects between 2000 to 10,000 hectares of the command area. So, like this, many activities have been removed from the purview of the requirement of environmental impact assessment. So, this is one problem. And public consultation, as we discussed, the hearings are biased. So, this is creating the problem. And thus, the effectivity or the effectiveness of the Environmental Protection Act is getting diluted. Next issue is related to poor compliance. Even CAG has found in the audit data in 2016 that there is a deficiency of annual compliance reporting, which was somewhere between 43% to 78%. And this non-compliance was encountered particularly in river valley and hydroelectric power projects, even thermal power projects. So this is leading to poor compliance. If we have laws in place and we are not complying with that, then how can we target about environmental conservation or maintaining the environmental equilibrium? Okay, so there are laws in place, but compliance is not happening, implementation is not happening properly. So this is one of the issue. So these are the three issues. Let's analyze other issues. Next issue that is the our fourth issue is related to poor effectiveness of the rules. So there are in establishment, there are factories, there are activities which are being conducted or they are functioning even without environmental clearance. For example, if we see this, there was a gas leak in at LG Polymers in Vishakhapatnam on May 7th. Then Environment Ministry told the National Green Tribunal, that is NGT, that the unit lacked environmental clearance. It means what? That they are functioning even without environmental clearance. Thus, we can easily analyze and assess the effectiveness of the rule. So this is one of the issue. Fifth issue is related to challenges in regulating. Whenever we talk about regulating the pollution and other aspects, so we are coming up with new challenges. The sheer amount and the nature of pollutants, sometimes it's become very difficult to monitor them. For example, if we take microplastics. So pollutants like microplastics may be causing the growth defects in fish, including the skeletal deformities in Kaveri River. There was a report, there was a study. But how to regulate that? How to monitor it? And it's very difficult until unless definitely law should be there and everything should be there in place. But we need to bring in behavioral change at the level of the consumer, at the level of every citizen. Then only we can assess the effectiveness of such regulation. So this is another challenge. Not only that, six challenges related to fast tracking process of everything. In order to make improve our ease of doing business, our ranking and everything, we are attracting the investors. But in this process of ease of doing business, we are giving fast tracking the clearances, quicker approvals, single window clearances. This is again leading to uh, poor efficacy of the provisions, and the checks and balances which were there earlier, they are again getting diluted. So this is our sixth issue. We have other issues as well. Let's analyze other issues. So the seventh issue is related to lack of expert inputs. So many times it happens that the experts, the environmental expert, the environmentalist, their opinion is not taken into consideration. And without their consideration or without any due deliberation or discussion or debate, clearances has been given to the mega projects. So you take the mega projects, for example, Subansiri Hydel power project in Assam and Arunachal border. We have Mopa International Airport in Goa, or for that matter, Dibang Hydel project in Arunachal Pradesh. So like this, many numerous mega projects have been given clearances without taking the opinion or the expert inputs. So this is another challenge. Next is related to human resource crunch. So there is shortage of officers, there is shortage of officials, staff in Ministry of Environment and Forest, and there, for example, there are less than 80 officials to conduct the field visits. So there definitely it will lead to what? There will be failure of field visits. Nobody will be able to visit, And generally in the forest areas, everything is at quite a distance. So we need people, we need resources, infrastructure to make this field visit successful. Then only we will get to know the exact data, exact understanding about what is happening at the ground level. So there is staff shortage, and thus it is leading to failure of field visits. Not only that, even the state pollution control boards, environmental tribunals, they are also running short staffed. They are also functioning, working in less capacity. Next issue, the ninth issue, is related to complete centralization of the act. So what is happening, as we discussed in the starting also, the potential drawback of this act could be this centralization, because a lot of power is there with center. Wide powers are there, have been provided to the center, and no powers to the state governments. Thus the what is happening in this case, center is maybe sometime misusing, and arbitrary use is happening, and thus there is poor incentives to states to take care of the provisions under Environmental Protection Act. So this is another where we can see that cooperative federalism is not happening, right? So we will analyze other things. Let's analyze the last set of issues related to environment protection. So the 10th issue is related to incomplete coverage of the pollutants. So new forms of pollutants are coming up, but this act does not addresses the modern concept of pollutions like noise or radiation waves, overburdened transportation system, which are also important cause for the deteriorating environment. So this is another issue. Next issue is related to huge pendency, which is leading to the culture of impunity. So we have analysis from the Center for Science and Environment, that is CSC. So we have data. They have found that Indian courts between 9 to 30, they took somewhere between 9 to 33 years to clear the backlog of cases for environmental pollution. Not only that, in 2018, there were around 45,000 cases which were pending trial, and another 35,000 cases were added in that year itself. So just imagine the gravity of the problem. Okay, so this is related to huge pendency. Also, last issue is related to poor regulation and implementation. So we have laws in place, but regulation and implementation is not happening. So business as usual approach is there, that mindset is there. So you must be aware of the last week's news, 1 week back, that is somewhere around 27 June. There was anti encroachment drive on Yamuna flood plains was going on by the Delhi Development Authority. So in the first place, why this matter reached that level, that there were encroachments, and now Delhi Development Authority is going for anti-encroachment drive. So this is the issue of poor regulation and implementation. So this is it with respect to issues. Now let's analyze other aspects. So with respect to whatever issues we have discussed and in what context we are discussing, there are proposed amendments which talk about the appointment of adjudicating officer. So this appointment is related to an officer who will decide on penalty in cases of environmental violation, as such as reports not being submitted or information not being provided when demanded. So there will be adjudicating officer who will be appointed, and they will look into these matters. Also, the cases of serious violation which lead to grievous injury or loss of life, they shall be covered under the provisions of IPC, Indian Penal Code 1860. Okay, so this is also one of the aspect of the proposed amendments. Also, there is a proposal of Environment Protection Fund. So whatever funds will be collected as penalties would be directed to this Environmental Protection Fund. Okay, so from there it will be used for environment protection. Next is the increase in penalties. So in case of the penalties, it has been, the proposal is that it could be extended to anywhere from 5 lakh to 5 crores. So that is also proposal, and it is expected that with these amendments, the efficacy will improve. Okay, so let's understand the conclusion. Now coming to way forward, whenever you are writing conclusion, again and again, every time we are telling you that the conclusion should be optimistic and it has to be futuristic. Don't show that everything is cynical and nothing good is happening around. So we told that we are celebrating the 50th year of Stockholm conference. So in 2022, so you talk about one Earth. You talk about the theme that we have only one Earth and we have limited capacity. The biocapacity of the Earth is limited, so we have to take care of it. We need to protect it. Talk about sustainability. Then you talk about empowerment of citizens. Citizens should not only be provided information, but rather the citizens should be also made uh, the participants in the whole process of environmental governance. Also talk about AI, strengthening AIA, and the coverage of new form of pollution, which we have discussed in the on with respect to the issues. So you club all those things, and then you give a conclusion or a way forward where you're talking about futuristic components. You talk about optimism, right? Then only it will sound that yes, we are sounding positive. Never end your answer on a negative note. So with this, we finished the topic of the day. Hope you enjoyed the discussion. You got clarity with respect to the issues. You got clarity that why this was in news and what all points we have to keep in mind whenever we are writing the answers. Okay, so revise well. We will provide our handwritten notes in the Telegram channel. So make use of that as well, only after watching the discussion video. Okay, so today is Friday. This is the last video of the week. We will meet next on Monday. So till then, take care, revise well, and yes, to revise whatever we have discussed till date, and almost 14 topics we have covered till date. So this is the 14th video. Make use of it, revise well, and take care, guys. Bye bye. We will meet on Monday.